Do you feel that? Do you feel the chill, the crispness in the air,
Yes,
Clint?
I do.
Oh, is it fall? Or are we at a summer camp at night?
It's both.
Is it both? We're at a summer camp at night and it's fall. Hello, everyone. Oh.
But we're not at just any summer camp.
Oh, no. What summer camp are we at?
Camp Crystal Lake?
Oh, welcome to a bone-chillingly erotic episode of It Crept from the 80s, friends. Another Halloween episode, if you will. As you know, we're going to be doing a series of Halloween-themed episodes.
Spooktacular.
That's right, Spooktastic.
Spooktastic.
That's right. So here we are with the second one in the month-long explosion of Krim from yours truly. And joining me on this auspicious occasion is the one, the only, Dutch Hogan, ladies and gentlemen. Clinton J. Kelly.
Hey, what's up? Hello.
Clinton Kelly of stage and screen. You may know him from the, 75 films he's done with Warlock Home Video. He's a world-class cinematographer and one of the best betrayers of all time. And Clint Kelly right here at your service. Straight from the swamps of Tokyo.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that too.
So, the wetlands of Tokyo, folks. We are here. We got a special one. You heard us, right? You heard him say Camp Crystal Lake. What does that mean? Does that mean that finally, on Crept from the 80s, finally, we're going to talk about our main man?
That's it.
We're going to talk about the series that made us who we are today. That brought us to the final level.
Brought us to life, you know?
That's right. Friday the 13th, folks. We are going to talk about the Friday the 13th franchise, what it means to us, what it means to the world, what it means to the future of cinema.
Yes.
And everything in between. So,
I'm excited.
Yeah?
I mean, it's Friday the 13th is my favorite horror series of movies, period.
It's ties.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
It always goes back and forth. Nightmare on Elm Street, the franchise, or Friday the 13th. But they're dick to neck. They're really like right there. One year I might be truly feeling Friday. The next year I'm feeling Nightmare.
Yeah.
But they're neck and neck, and I love them so much. And they really did make us who we are in a way. Yeah, I mean, so what I want to do is I want to break down sort of how we discovered the series.
Okay.
What is it about the series that makes us so drawn to it? Because from an outsider looking in, or certainly a cinema snob,
Yeah.
they will look at a series, a franchise like Friday the 13th and just be like,
Yeah, completely dismiss it.
what the fuck?
Yeah.
Why? You know? And I understand that. I do understand that mentality, because essentially, it's like the Rocky movies. It's the same movie every film. But we love it. And people, millions of people around the world love it. So there's got to be something. So we're going to talk about that.
Yes.
So Clint, I want to get in, I want to get thick. I want to even get Riley thick.
Thoik. Yeah.
Extra thoik. I want to start skadoinking knees and shellacking calves.
Yes, exactly.
When did you become a fan of the Friday the 13th films, Mr. Clinton Kelly?
So what happened was my dad showed me horror films when I was a kid. He saw the original Friday the 13th. He used to tell me a story that when he saw the original Friday the 13th and when Kevin Bacon gets killed, that like scarred him for a long time. So he said after he saw the movie, he used to live in it's a bigger town now, but it was a really small town where you could bike around and get around to places, so he rode his bike over to the movie theater to watch it. He got scared and had to bike back home, and he was terrified at night. And then he would check under his bed for like a week to make sure no one was under there to that wasn't going to grab his head and stick a arrow up through his neck.
Yeah.
So he kind of told me that.
Weirdly, though, that's how he started to eat bacon.
Yeah, exactly.
He would always stab it with an arrow.
With an arrow, and then
and eat it off the arrow. So weird.
So, I used to go to the video store. I think I talked in a It Crept from the 80s where we...
That was a previous
thing. Right,
that isn't a part of this.
Okay.
So you can talk.
I used to go... The video store was my life. Mm-hmm. I would always go to the video store, especially Blockbuster. I had 2 Blockbusters that were right within easy driving distance from me. So the horror section of the Blockbuster was where I lived, and the Friday the 13th covers were some of the best VHS covers around. So I think the first one I think I remember seeing was like part 4 or 3. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure it was part 3. Because then I remember watching the ones where he doesn't have the hockey mask, like later. I was like, oh, that's weird, because I always remembered him with the hockey mask. So it wasn't, the first one wasn't Jason, of course, spoiler alert, but if you haven't seen part 1, then what are you doing watching this?
Zach, I'm sorry.
So it was like I saw part 3, and then I remember watching like part 7 on Monster Vision, because Monster Vision was also like a big thing for me when I was younger. And then the drive-in totals, like, being really cool and seeing all the deaths, and then it was just renting all of them on VHS when I was a kid. And then I remember I used to do like themes. My grandmother just used to let me go crazy and just get as many tapes as I wanted. So I think one time I did Police Academy. I did all Police Academies, and then I did all the Friday the 13th, all the Halloweens. So I remember doing all the Friday the 13th movies. I think I only did like 1 through 8, and just being like enthralled with it. And I think there's a Friday the 13th movie for all types of horror fans. So like me growing up and trying to like find which like genres of horror that I really liked, there was something in each movie that like satiated that thirst of just wanting to watch all different kinds of horror movies, but still set in an 80s slasher, which is like my all-time favorite genre of horror movies.
Yeah.
So it all started with that, just seeing the cool boxes, hearing my dad tell that creepy story, seeing the awesome boxes, and then just like renting them all in one night and watching them.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love it.
And Monster Vision.
I mean, some of that is very similar to me as well, but I'm older. I think I'm like 20, 30 years older.
30 years older, yeah. I'm only 13.
Yeah, 42 is pretty old.
Yeah.
But my first recollection of Friday the 13th, like so many first glimpses of something horrible I would see on either HBO or at my Grandma Bowker's house. Because they had cable.
Yeah.
And we didn't yet. And I was always watching shit over there that I probably shouldn't be watching. So I remember probably, 2 or 3. Because I remember the sack had Jason creeping me out, but I also remember the hockey mask. That kind of blurs from back that early on. But it definitely was like on a cable something.
Yeah.
It wasn't until probably, 85, 86, that I really started to rent the Friday the 13th films. And it was more so like sleepovers and stuff.
Yeah.
So if there were sleepovers, and I talked about it on our VHS episode, but we also would have theme nights. Very similar.
Yeah. I would watch them by, like, very rarely would I have friends over.
Yeah, you did. You saw.
Yeah,
you talked about that before.
And even then, we would watch like more comedies and stuff. I didn't really have a lot of friends growing up that liked horror like I did, especially when I was younger.
I didn't either, but it's just because if I was, if you were the house, if I was the house that you were staying at, and I was renting,
yeah, that's
what you were gonna watch.
Yeah,
so they really didn't have much say in it.
My grandmother always would be like, "Well, watch something, get something that you both would like." And I'm like, "Well, I want to watch, Friday the 13th Part 6."
Eventually, these kids that I would subject to all this ended up being in my backyard epics.
Yeah,
the movies that I was making, and they liked it well enough. But they certainly, I was the horror kid in Wellsville. So yeah, it was definitely through renting that I became sort of like a freak for it. And then anything I could get as far as magazines, Fangoria, whatever, anything that I could see with Jason or Friday the 13th around me, I wanted or I would read.
I still have my Friday 5 cover. Jason.
For Fango?
Yeah. Jason on the cover of Fango.
But I was lucky enough to start seeing them in theaters with Part 7.
That's awesome.
And that was with my uncle and my mom and a couple of their friends. And we saw... And at this point I had already seen up to 7.
Yeah.
So, but this was a big deal for me. This was my first Friday the 13th movie.
Yeah.
It wasn't my first fucking movie, that's for sure. I've been to the movies so many times before then.
But it was the first Friday the 13th.
First Friday the 13th, so it was special to me.
And it's 7, which is a good movie.
This is the reason why 7 was my favorite for so long.
Yeah.
I think probably up into my 20s... I think 7 was always my favorite. And then my 20s hit, and then 4 became my favorite.
Yeah.
And to this day, 4 is still my favorite. But, so 7, it definitely, it made, an impact on me. And I think it was one of the first times I can remember an audience totally, being into it.
Yeah.
And yelling at the screen. And screaming and things like that. And I think that, jazzed me as well. So that's going to leave an impression on me for sure. And then the next year, it was was it a year or 2 years from 7 and 8?
I think 8 is 89. So, yeah, 2 years.
Yes. So, 89, it opened on my birthday.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah,
exactly.
So it was me and my friends who were staying over for my birthday party, and that was that was our thing. We went to see Part 8.
Yeah.
And I remember coming out of there and being so upset. Imagine a 12, 13-year-old just being what? You know, being pissed at a movie. And I think I remember it was probably the first time I was ever actually pissed at a movie.
Yeah.
Just because you have those expectations. You think it's going to be one thing.
And then,
certainly, all that hype, even the teaser made it seem like this is going to be so amazing. The commercials were him standing in front of the skyline.
Yeah.
The New York skyline and turning around and freaking everybody out. I actually remember
poster.
I remember that trailer would play in front of some of the movies, and that got so people excited because oh my god, Jason was going to take Manhattan, and then he didn't. So I was upset by the way he looked. Even at that age, I was kind of confused by the whole kid Jason in it that had no sort of
at the end
problems with him. And then he turns into a kid at the end. And just, I just remember just the whole thing just being a bad experience. And for the longest time, I remember I wouldn't rent that movie. And so if I would do marathons or whatever, it would only go up to 7. Because I was just no. This is great. Fuck this. I can't. I got my 7 movies and,
It's funny, my my buddy who plays the dead corpse with the erect wiener in the Weirdsies has never seen any of the Friday the 13th movies. So I showed him, I started from the beginning. I showed him 1 and 2, and then I was like, okay, you go watch the rest. And then on his own, he skipped to 8.
Why?
Yeah, because he was like, Jason Takes Manhattan, I read it in a book, and I heard that it has punks in it, because he's really into like punk rock stuff. And I'm like, ooh, I was like, oh man, I think you made a big mistake. You jumped from, you're missing the core, For me, 3 through, 6 are amazing. I like 7 a lot too, but to jump right to 8 is like... So he watched it and he was like, dude, he's on a boat the whole time. And he's like, he's only in Manhattan for like the last 15 minutes. Like, yeah, you shouldn't have skipped. And I was like, why did you didn't even let me know, and he didn't even know. He didn't even know, like, he knew nothing about Friday the 13th. It was such a pure, like, thing, like, here, watch these. So he didn't even know that 8 takes place mostly on a boat.
I mean, is he a horror fan?
Kinda.
Not really?
No, he's more into, like...
So I could see. So, yeah.
Decline of Western civilization.
I mean, yeah. Otherwise, I'd be like, what horror fan...
Yeah, he's not.
...doesn't watch the Friday the 13th movies?
But then he went back and watched all of them. So when the other day he was watching 6, he was texting me because he knows that 6 is my favorite. Just like texting me quotes and stuff, and then he's back, the man behind the mask.
Yeah,
that was good stuff.
Yeah,
but there's stuff in Part 8 now that when I watch it that I do like.
I mean,
you don't like anything from Part 8? I like some of the kills in Part 8.
I don't. I think it's one of the cheapest, cheesiest looking, other than Jason X,
which was my first
Friday
the 13th I've seen in the theater. I've seen anything after Jason X. I've seen in the theater.
I've seen them all since 7.
Freddy vs. Jason, and the remake.
I know. I actually had 8 on the other day just to have on in the background when I was like cleaning and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And everything that I was catching, I was just like shaking my head. I was just like, oh my god, this is... Oh, I hate it. I hate it.
Yeah.
But enough hate. Why don't we talk about the ones we love?
Yeah.
What are your favorite Friday the 13th films?
Well, I love... 1 through 7, I love those. But my absolute favorite is 6. 6 is everything that I love about movies. It's horror, it's comedy, it's like weird gothic style settings and stuff, and I like the characters, and I just rewatched it the other day because I try to watch one Friday the 13th movie on Friday the 13th,
Mm-hmm.
So that was the one that I picked this year, and I just love everything about it. I love the aesthetic. I think Tom McLaughlin did a great job.
I think that one is probably the best looking Friday the 13th film out of those early films, for sure. It's probably my second favorite. Now, what do you think about the trilogy within the series itself?
I love it.
That would be 4, 5, and 6.
Yes, I love them. 4 is my second favorite because it's the most straight up horror film of all of them. Jason's mean. I love the way he walks, the way he moves. He's just like an imposing force.
Yeah, he's
running. He's just. And then when they takes the mask off, just the Tom Savini makeup that they did on him is just. It's amazing.
It's my number 1.
Yeah, it's so good. And it's got, such great characters in it. Crispin Glover.
Yeah, I think out of all of those films, for me, 4 and 6 have the most interesting characters.
Yeah, definitely.
And the ones that I actually give a shit about.
Yeah.
Not everybody in 4, but for the most part, they are, for me, real relatable kids. And then in 6... you have the real, but you also have the funny, the goofy.
Yeah.
But I could also see myself, like, hanging out with a couple of those people, especially Court from 6.
Definitely.
But I like Megan I think Megan's awesome. I think she's a great character.
Yeah.
You know?
Definitely. And of course Tommy.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And 5, I love 5.
So do I.
You know?
So do I.
5.
People hate 5.
And actually, let me back up to the beginning. The first time I saw 5 wasn't when I rented all of them at a time. I had a kid that lived down the street from me named Eric Franklin. Eric only had part 5 on VHS. And so I think at this point I may have seen 3 and some of the other ones. I hadn't seen 5 yet. So I asked him, I said, is 5 any good? He said, yes, but it's weird. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, I don't want to tell you, but it's just weird. And he was like, I didn't really like it though, but it's, it's just weird. So I asked to borrow it. And so I remember watching it and thinking, oh, how are they going to bring Jason back, Because I had seen part 4.
Yeah.
So I was like, how are they going to bring him back? So I watch it, and then at the end, I'm like, huh, that was really weird. And I remember not liking it. And then I remember becoming like a teenager. I saw that when I was maybe 10, 11 or something. Then I remember being older, like 15, and watching it, and then, really digging it. It's a sleazy movie,
Oh, it is. It is. And then later, when you know who Danny Steinman is, and you've seen other Danny Steinman movies,
right?
It's all over. It's a Danny Steinman movie. Like, it's all over.
And there's 2 reasons in particular that I like part 5.
Well, my goodness,
it's got the best set in the.
Oh, absolutely,
in the whole series.
100%. I will say that for 5, I did see it in those marathons that I would have.
Yeah.
And I do remember my initial watch, I remember kind of being let down because I did really want it to be Jason. But it didn't disappoint me the way Part 8 disappointed me. And throughout the years, I remember skipping 5 every now and again when I would do marathons or groups with friends or whatever, and we'd watch certain Friday the 13th movies. I definitely would leave 5 out, but yeah, once I got into my later teens and it just became a favorite of mine. And then I would watch almost religiously. I would watch
the trilogy
4, 5, and 6 within that group. And
I like Tommy throughout.
I like
4,
Tommy,
5, and 6.
I like Tommy. I think I would have liked to see Tommy in between there, not as psycho as he was in 5.
Yeah. To me, it made sense. I thought it was a natural.
I got it, but he really was like.
It's a little jarring between 5 and 6, because it's like he's so. The ending of 5.
He's put together in 6. So,
but you assume that enough time went by.
I guess
that
so.
It's not even Crystal Lake anymore.
From 6. That Tommy to Tom Matthews Tommy.
Yeah.
Maybe
they gave him some electroshock therapy or something. It mellowed him out a little bit, even though he's still crazy in 6. He's just a different kind of crazy. He's not like catatonic crazy.
So Corey Feldman originated the Tommy character, and honestly, if things would have gone a different way for this franchise, and they wouldn't try to reinvent it every fucking 10 years,
just bring him back.
I would have liked to see a continuation of this saga with those characters, and have Corey Feldman come back as Tommy.
Yeah.
At least one more time. Even, I think it would be cool if all the surviving girls and Tommy, everybody who has ever been fucked by Jason, come back and take him out for all time, But we're never going to get anything like that, which
who knows
sucks.
if we'll ever get another Friday the 13th.
We will. We'll get on. We'll get on that. But we will. You're stupid if you think we won't.
So
6 is your favorite.
6, then 4, then my 3 fluctuates between 5 and 3, because 3 is the first one that I remember actually sitting down and watching, and he gets the mask. Mm-hmm. It's iconic. I love the disco theme is my favorite iteration of that theme song. And in fact, over here off screen, there is a actual 3D Blu-ray copy of Part 3 that we're going to be watching.
Not the red and blue.
Not red and blue, no.
This is how folks saw it in the theater back in the day. Now, truth be told, I did see it. Not on the big screen, but I was one of those fools who bought that eBay package from many, many years ago.
With the CRT TV setup.
And it was a black box and you hooked wires to it that were connected to shutter glasses. The quality was terrible. It was a Japanese print. But it was the first time outside a movie theater that I actually saw something in my home that was coming at my face, you know. And it was cool. Even in that shoddy quality, I was like, damn, this is probably the best pop-out 3D, you know, I've ever seen, you know. So I can't wait to see...
This has been we've talked about this.
A real, and you know, we've had friends who have actually seen the print.
Yeah, in theaters.
In theaters, and have had a great time and love it and blah, blah, blah. But no, this is going to be our first time.
Because it wasn't red and some people I don't think realize it wasn't red and blue.
No, it was
like,
not.
Even in the theater.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
It was not.
So I think some people still think that, like, back in '83 that people were putting on their red and blue glasses and watching like that.
So that print that you have on your box sets or whatever, that's the red and blue. That's not a real conversion of what that movie looked like. So
yeah. This is a painstakingly put together.
We're about to see that.
From because actually there's 2 releases of Friday the 13th Part 3. One in that box set, that old box set that actually is from the right lens.
Yeah. And
then there was a standalone release of Part 3 that is from the left lens. So these guys put together and made this beautiful...
I can't wait.
Yeah.
It's sitting there teasing us.
It's right over there.
Taunting us.
You can't see it, but we can.
So, yeah, my favorite is Part 4, the final chapter. I've talked about it so many times. I don't know how many times I've seen that movie. Again, the characters, the atmosphere, the creep factor.
The kills,
Savini.
And the lines. I mean, we quote that pretty much whenever we hang out. One of us always says, "Hey, Ted, where's the corkscrew?"
Tangerine. Oh, yeah. Dead fuck, it's all there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's...
Very quotable movie.
No way! I mean, it's amazing. I love that fucking movie. And then 6. And then I would say... Oh, gosh. Then I would say
7.
Probably 7. And 5 and 3 are sort of neck and neck. And then I'd go 2, 1, and 8.
I'd probably
I don't even watch 1 anymore. You know this.
Yeah.
Because even as a child, I thought Part 1 was boring as hell. I didn't really find another like jolt of energy with Part 1 until I ordered a bootleg VHS of Friday Uncut from Blackest Heart Media or Catalog of Carnage. I can't remember which one, but then I was like re-energized with a love for Friday the 13th because I was like, oh, now I'm seeing what Tom Savini did.
The extra spurts when Kevin Bacon gets the arrow through his neck.
Well, even in the beginning.
Yeah.
Right in the beginning.
Yeah, the third
it was like, whoa, 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 you know.
I loved that effect when I was young. When I saw that. Because I saw that one pretty young, too. So, that effect, you know, with the night, and you can actually see, you know, like the slit and the blood coming out. I thought that was awesome. And there's like that jarring dip to white that for some reason like bothered me when I was a kid. I was like, oh man, why did they dip to white? It was just like
it's too gruesome.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't want to see what's behind that.
It was brutal, but I love Part 1.
I just to this day I can't do it anymore. So what I do is I watch The Burning. As my Part 1 because The Burning has far more entertaining characters and cooler kills than Friday the 13th 1.
I do like The Burning more than I like Friday the 13th Part 1, but I still like Friday the 13th Part 1. Now, Part 2, I could never really get into part 2.
I like 2 because I like Ginny. I think she's cool. I like what she did at the end with the mother thing.
Yeah.
I liked that. The wheelchair death is iconic. You know, there's some very cool kills. Part 2, that's why it's so low on my list. It's fine, but I think the standout is Ginny for me. What bothers me in part 2 is suddenly there's the notion of a grown-up Jason has followed her all the way to her home.
Yeah.
And kills her in her home.
Adrian King's character?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What? That doesn't... I don't buy that.
Yeah.
I don't buy that. Especially when they make him out to be sort of the mongoloid that he is. I just don't buy that he traveled wherever he went to. Was he driving? You know?
No,
Did he have a
hoofing
skateboard?
Yeah.
You know?
No, he was in his Ghostmobile.
We don't know how far she was from Crystal Lake.
Yeah, that's true.
You know? And then he just fucking shows up, goes in her house, kills her, takes the tea off the...
Yeah. Oh, no, first he has to put his mom's head in the fridge, close it, hide somewhere. She goes and takes a shower.
Yeah.
You know, and just awkwardly waiting for the perfect moment.
In a sack, mind you.
Yeah, in a sack.
You know?
Well, you don't ever see his face. He may not be wearing the sack.
I guess, but he's not walking out in public
with his scraggly hair.
Warrington Gillette.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
But I love that ending. I really love that ending.
Also, like some of the kills bother me. Like when the guy gets his neck slit when he's up
backwards.
Yeah, with the knife.
Machete looks backwards.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
It always bothered me.
Yeah, but I like that wheelchair death. That's an iconic Friday the 13th death, man. You know? It's crazy. You know?
Yeah, and of course the double.
Oh, yeah.
The spear.
But
also, I feel like a lot of people survive in 2. Like, don't a lot of people like just randomly? Like, oh, we're going to the bar, and then half of the cast.
Yeah, they leave.
Yeah,
like
half
Stu
of the cast,
Charno's gone.
Yeah, half of the cast goes out and leaves.
Just drunk for the rest of the movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, even what's his name at the end of 2 years? Like, where the fuck did he go?
Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where is he?
Yeah.
You know. Hey, asshole.
Yeah.
That's my truck.
Yeah.
That's another. See, there's things in 2 that I think are really great.
Yeah.
But overall, you know, it's down at the bottom. 3 I like a lot more.
3 is. I just really like 3.
Yeah. We're gonna watch it again.
Yeah. Shelley. I mean, Shelley to me is Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
You know.
He just epitomizes Friday the 13th.
I couldn't relate to Shelley because I was never like a fat afro dude, but like I kind of could because I was a jokester, you know, and I liked, you know, I never had any girlfriends until I was like, 16 or 17 or something like that. So it's like I felt bad for him. I was like, oh, I would hang out with Shelley.
Yeah.
And
definitely.
And I feel like
think so, for sure.
And he definitely got crapped on. Like,
and I would hang out, like in 4, I would hang out with Jimbo.
Yeah.
You know, Jimbo would be my peeps.
Yeah,
man,
definitely.
You know, we'd be talking about computers and dead fucks and.
And then you don't see Shelley for a little bit, and then when you see him, he's just all.
Oh no, Shelley.
He's dead.
You know,
it's so sad.
It's a crying shame.
Yeah. I cried when Shelley died.
Did you?
No.
You cried the night Shelley died?
The night Shelley died, yeah. Friday the 13th. 1983.
Oh, man. That's rough.
Yeah. So then, and then 8 is at the bottom.
Garbaggio.
And then if we're talking about the New Line movies...
Well, wait. So when Kane Hodder came along, so for me, I don't know, how you saw these movies. Did you notice a distinction?
Well, Ted White is my favorite Jason.
Okay, well, I think Ted White and Richard Brooker are definitely... Because I prefer... I think in my teens I loved Kane, but as I got older, the shtick wore off.
I never cared, to be honest.
Well, I think the shtick wore off for me.
Yeah.
You know, I think I got enough of the heavy breathing and the
yeah.
You know, that shit. And the sort of popping up anywhere and everywhere out of the blue. Whereas, you know, he was alive in those first 4 movies. Well, the 2, 3, 4, you know.
Yeah.
And it was much scarier when Jason ran or got excited, took off his mask in 3.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that dream sequence in 3.
Yeah.
Freaks me the
Where
fuck
he's
out.
looking through
it's
the window.
Still creepy. And
Yeah.
banging on it. Oh my god, that dude running at you.
Exactly.
You know? And then Ted White's Jason in 4, again, that dude running at you, and to be that strong.
He's a menace,
you know?
in 4. Like, he's like
a meddler.
Yeah. He's just an imposing figure.
He's a shark.
He is a shark.
He is Jason.
Yeah. He's not a pussy.
He's a non-stop erotic cabaret.
Straight jack your ass.
So for me, when I saw 7 the first time, I have to admit, like, that Jason kind of blew me away.
Yeah.
You know, it was a different Jason. It was like this guy is stronger. He's a zombie. You saw everything. I loved that.
Yeah, the
John
makeup.
Buechler design. Yeah. You know, one of the trendsetters of special effects.
Definitely,
makeup,
yeah.
You know, Garbage Pail
One of our
Kids.
favorite movies, Garbage Pail Kids.
You know,
the animatronics.
You've never seen animatronics like that before in your life. I mean, they were ahead of their time.
Yeah. The mouth movements are
my god! I mean,
so intricate and detailed.
I know. So yeah, it was a whoa, you know, and I think being the age that I was and you know going into my teens and everything, I think that was maybe the pump of adrenaline I needed for a Jason at that time.
Yeah.
But definitely that wore off, and I wanted more of the scary, runny, creepy, you know, Jason. He could be alive and he could be anybody, and you know.
What I like about 7 is that Jason kills people with anything and everything in 7.
Oh yeah,
like it's such a diversified weapons movie.
And where did he get them?
Yeah, exactly. That big giant tree saw.
Yeah.
You know that he.
Yeah, the blade whacker.
Yeah.
The blade weed whacker.
Yeah, where'd he get that thing?
He stopped off at the Home Depot and it was like,
There's a sickle, there's a party horn, there's axe.
Which is great. I really, it wasn't until I saw Kane Hodder live in 1992, because he came to Wellsville.
Yeah.
And he showed that footage on the big screen.
Uncut.
All the uncut stuff from Part 7. And I was sort of, blown away.
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit. Like, that movie was cut to shreds.
Yeah, it really was butchered.
To see what they did, man, oh man. Like, that stuff is fantastic. And I just wish they had... Part of me wishes that they still do have this stuff in the vault and they just said they don't.
Yeah.
They just said that they threw it away. But I really hope that there is still a print with that stuff on it. Film out there somewhere that they would do a restoration.
An uncut for...
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of... 5, there's a ton of stuff. I wouldn't say a ton. But
well, even 4.
Yeah.
You know, the added stuff from the television version.
But 7 was definitely the one that was just... But every kill, I think, was neutered.
Yeah. Jason Goes to Hell had that too. But they were smart enough to release the unrated. Which was awesome.
Yeah, the unrated cut's the only way to watch that movie, or else it's
just neutered.
Yeah. So out of the New Line ones...
So you know, I was definitely one of those kids who was kind of waiting, wondering what the hell was happening with Jason. But Fangoria, bless your hearts, your bloody hearts, you sort of informed us. You were able to inform us of all the behind the scenes news that was happening from Paramount to New Line. So I was following the making of Jason Goes to Hell, and man, I wanted that movie to come out so bad. And I remember when it got pushed back, and that was talked about in Fango, and I remember being pissed about it. But that was in 1992 when Kane Hodder came to Wellsville to do it was like a Q&A, and he was talking about his stunts and his career and his life and everything. And at that point, on the video, you can hear us saying, you know, why did it get delayed? Mm-hmm. You know, and he talks a little bit about it, and then we go, what's Friday the 13th Part 9 subtitle. And this was the first time I heard it.
Jason Goes to Hell.
And he said, right now it's Jason Goes to Hell.
Yeah.
And we were like, what? You can hear us go, oh, man.
Yeah. You're just slapping each other.
Yeah, we were like, this is fucking great.
Yeah.
You know, I have that footage. I still have that footage.
Maybe they'll see it?
Maybe. I don't know. I'd have to give it to him. I don't know. Probably not. But I do have it. Yeah. I do have it. I'll show you.
I said you're never going to see it.
Oh, no. They'll never see it.
I'm talking to you right there. I will see it. But you?
And then the build-up was huge. It was me and my buddies. We had to... The best theater that we had... We did have a theater. You've been in it. It was called the Babcock. The Wellsville Twin. But we wanted to see it in a better theater. Mm. So you drive 40 minutes to Olean, New York. And in the mall, where they had Hills Department Store, they had all this crazy shit.
Hills?
Hills, man. Hills Department Store. It was the dopest. Hills are where the toys are, man. Yeah.
I don't know
Hills.
I know Cowboy.
How many Hills...
Who knows Hills?
Homies we got.
Drop a comment.
Hills homies. Hills is where the toys are. But right next to the Hills was this really dope multiplex that was just put into the mall there.
Yeah.
And they were one of the few theaters at that time that was showing Jason Goes to Hell. Because Willsville didn't get it until like a week or two later. Mm-hmm. So what we did was we dressed my buddy Brad Goff up as Jason from Part 9. Mm-hmm. We made our own mask.
Yeah.
It was out of like paper mache and duct tape. And we had a mask that was indented into the fake. I'll show you that too, because I have that. So, because, folks, I've been a filmmaker forever, so I would also make Freddy and Jason backyard movies. So I have tons of footage of these shitty Chris Seaver Freddy and Jason movies.
Friday the 13th Halloween night.
I have that, but stuff even way before that.
Really?
Before Jason Goes to Hell was coming out.
Yeah.
So we made our own Jason Goes to Hell outfit, and we dressed Brad Goff up, and we took him to the theater. And he played it up. He didn't talk to anybody.
That's awesome.
They were even like asking him, "What do you want? Do you want butter on your popcorn?" And he's just like, and he's pointing to like the candy that he wants and everything. He didn't talk at all.
Yeah.
And so...
Did you film the whole thing?
Oh, I didn't film it at all, which sucks. But I have that costume when we were shooting our Friday movie.
Yeah, okay.
So we took him through the aisle, and everybody in the theater was clapping at him and everything, and because we walked him down the aisle and back, so that everyone could get a good look at him. So we know how Jason Goes to Hell is, right?
Yes.
But at that time, in that theater, because people were going fucking bonkers for it, it was great. It was a euphoric feeling. It was amazing.
Yeah.
And that final Freddy hand grabbing Jason's mask, that place, like, fucking vomited cheers and joy, and, like, we were just shocked. It's one of those big theater experiences that I'll never, ever forget, because it was, like, a... uniformic cry of like, yeah, finally, much to our chagrin, we had to wait 10, 13 years or whatever for Jason Goes to, for Freddy vs. Jason, but so that was a big deal for me. And then I had a Friday the 13th themed birthday party, so that when the unrated VHS came out, we celebrated with that.
Yeah.
And it was a whole new, like, oh my god, the big standout kill is the girl in the tent.
Yeah. With
the spike and upper body, and it opens and everything. Crazy! Brains coming out of the head. So crazy. Now, as a 42-year-old man, I think I can appreciate some things in Jason Goes to Hell, but it's definitely not a favorite.
No.
I'll watch Jason Goes to Hell over Jason X any fucking day of the week.
Yes.
But there's things in it that do bother me now as a adult Friday fan, which is ridiculous to say, because you were talking about Friday the 13th here, but we Friday fans expect a certain Friday movie.
Exactly.
And we didn't get it because that's really, when they started to try to change things up.
Yeah.
With the whole mythology, which is stupid. So yeah,
I remember before I saw it, I had the comics. They did Topps did a.
Yep, I got them.
Yeah, I got them. Topps did a 3-issue adaptation. So I had those before I saw the movie. So I kind of already knew the movie. But I liked it. I think I liked it even better.
I think they're hanging up.
I liked it even better because I read the comics first. So kind of knew what I was going into, and so seeing it kind of play out live, I thought was cool. So I still like it. I mean, it's towards the lower end of the list, but I wouldn't say it's a bad movie. You can tell it was a movie that was made by like an eager 23-year-old filmmaker that was just given the keys to, Friday the 13th, but then wasn't allowed to do what he wanted to do. You know what I mean? Like, because obviously that movie was kind of meddled with. Sean Cunningham wanted a specific way.
Well, I think everything was meddled with.
Yeah.
After that.
Oh, yeah.
Those New Line movies were definitely meddled with.
But I like, my favorite of the New Line, I like Freddy vs. Jason.
Yeah, me too. We'll get there. Then, as a Friday fan, there was a drought.
Yeah.
There was a drought.
11 years.
It was a drought until 2002.
Yeah.
For Jason X.
Yeah. 10 years.
Yeah, from 1993 to 2002, there was a nice big chunky drought. We didn't get Jason, and I was still making movies and making Jason movies.
But that movie was you knew that movie was coming for a
very long time,
3 years before it was released,
and actually a year and a half before the movie came out.
It's a funny story.
I got a VHS rip of the movie from somebody from New Line Cinema who was selling it.
At a convention you were at, right?
And, no, I ordered it.
I thought you met this guy at a convention and he was like...
No.
No?
No. This guy?
Yeah, the guy that was like, hey, do you guys want to see...
Oh.
Jason X? Didn't you... I remember you saying you and Casey were somewhere and this guy was like, give me your address or something, and you thought it was a joke at first, and then you got a tape in the mail of Jason X.
Oh, maybe it was that. What the fuck? Maybe it was that guy. I thought that guy gave us a copy of The Prophecy, which at the time was called God's Army.
No, I think you remember me telling you that you gave.
Maybe
this
I got
guy...
God's Army.
Yeah.
In the mail. I don't know, but I don't know. I'll have to talk to Casey. I don't think it was Casey. It might have been Jesse Green, because Casey didn't care as much.
Yeah.
But Jesse was pumped for Jason X. Anyway, I got a tape about a year and a half beforehand, and we were at Jesse Green's house and we watched the movie. And I was probably just as delusional as I was when Phantom Menace came out. I was in denial. I wanted so bad for the movie to be good that I was finding anything I could to argue that it was good. But, I mean, Jesse was like, no, dude, this was awful. And so my argument was at the time, well, this isn't the finished version.
Yeah, we're seeing a work print.
This was a work print.
Yeah.
It's not going to be like this when we go see it when it comes out. So we all go, opening night in April of 2002. It was the same exact fucking movie.
Yeah.
And holy shit, what a stinker. I hate that movie. I hated it then. I have not watched it probably since it came out on DVD. And I only watched it because I wanted to see the making of. Yeah. To see like why it turned out the way that it turned out that way. That is one of the cheapest looking $15 million movies I've ever fucking seen.
Yeah, I agree with that. I saw it in the theater with my mom.
Well, when we went that opening night,
yeah,
there was only fucking like 10 people in there.
I don't remember if there was a lot of people.
It was us and then like maybe like 5 other people.
Yeah.
It was rough.
Yeah, I saw it in the theater with my mom. And to be honest, the first time I saw it, I liked it. But then again, I was in 2002. I don't know, how long ago was that? I don't know, 15 years ago? No, longer than that.
No, that's like 17 years.
17 years ago, so I was...
You were young.
14, whatever, you know. So I kind of liked it. And there is, you know, the scene where he freezes the girl's head and smashes
that's the best kill in the movie.
That's a great kill.
Other than the callback to the sleeping bag.
I also liked when the guy gets punched over the railing and he falls and he's just circling on the corkscrew. But then I didn't see it for like... I rewatched it on DVD because I had to get the DVD. And I was like, it wasn't as fun as I remember it being in the theater. And then so I didn't watch it for years. And then I think not the last Friday the 13th that just happened, but the year before, I decided this is going to be the one that I watch. And I was like, ooh, yeah, this is hands down the worst one in the series. I think it's like, right up there so bad.
With 8.
I think it's worse than 8.
Well,
you're right. I mean, it's...
See, I can still put on 8.
No, Jason to me... I think I even texted you this. I said, Jason in this movie looks like a scrotum. Like, he just looks so... At the beginning, with David fake. Cronenberg and stuff, where you can see his,
the little hair.
You can see... Yeah, it looks like a scrotum that was, like... Just has, like, tufts of hair poking out.
His look is terrible.
The mask is so bad.
Terrible.
The mask is so bad, and Jason X.
Oh my gosh.
And he looks like so top heavy and like goofy, and his clothes look like they're made out of like someone just went to Dollar Tree.
It looks like a costume.
Yeah, exactly. They don't look lived in or anything, so it's like just looks so bad. And he's sitting there with like the chains around him at the beginning, and that's how you introduce him like that, and he just looks so terrible. And you're like, okay, maybe this is like a joke or something, and it turns out that's the real Jason.
Yeah.
I think Uber Jason looked pretty cool, but
that's fine.
But they spoiled him and everything. Like everyone, you knew he was coming and he was going to look that way. But that looked cooler than the Jason that you see throughout most of the movie that looks like a ball sack.
Remember the marketing was fucking let the bodies hit the floor, let the bodies hit the floor. That was like pumping you up.
And then the line at the end, like the stinger line, is like, he just wants his machete back. You know?
Woof.
Oh man, the costumes, like all the costumes in that were awful.
Just generic.
And then when they're in VR and they're shooting, and it's just like looks like a PlayStation 1 video game when they're shooting the monsters, and Jason just comes and like slices their heads off. You know, the digital head is like...
It's a fucking terrible movie.
Yeah.
Ugh. And then a year later,
it was Power.
The battle we've all been waiting for.
Yeah.
Right? Now, I don't know when you first heard. It might have been Jason Goes to Hell.
Yeah.
When you first heard of... Well, I heard it before Jason Goes to Hell.
That they were coming?
That they was going to do... They were doing a Freddy vs. Jason.
Yeah.
Because it was in Fangoria magazine, where they kept going back and forth who was going to give the rights over to who, because they wanted to do one. So I remember reading that. And so I remember like being at lunch in school a lot and just saying like who would win, you know?
Yeah.
Before Jason Goes to Hell. So I have been waiting for that movie forever. I used to draw pictures of like Freddy and Jason fighting each other and putting them on like the clubhouse wall that I had.
Yeah.
I mean, I was obsessed with wanting to see that movie, you know? So much that I did my own. I made my own Freddy and Jason movie, which one lucky fan has out there. I can't remember what fan you are, but you are the one that has the only copy of that on VHS.
You don't even have it?
I don't have it. He has my master.
Please give that. Just let him borrow it for a little bit.
So that I can put it back on DVD.
And then he'll give it right back to you.
And I would send it back.
Maybe he'll
all
put
of those, like
some
Bloody
pubes
Bobby,
inside.
like any of those early movies, I don't have anymore. You know? That's a fan. a fan like paid big money.
We got to find out who it is. You. You're watching it out there, Josh Schweier. We know it's you, and you secretly have it.
I don't think it's Josh, but he designed a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So Freddy vs. Jason, man, huge.
I saw it. We used to take a family trip to North Carolina every year, and that was coinciding. The trip was coinciding to when it was coming out, and I said, "We absolutely are seeing this opening night. We're gonna drive out." We had to drive out to the middle of nowhere, North Carolina, because it was the only movie theater like within anywhere to where we were staying. We were staying in a place called New Bern, North Carolina. We used to go there every year. And I remember we had to drive like 30 minutes away. The movie theater was out in the middle of nowhere. We go there, and it wasn't packed because it was just a small town little movie theater, but there was enough people in it. And it was one of those where it was no stadium seating, it was just flat rows. And I remember it was me, my sister, my mom, and my stepdad, and I just had such a great time. I loved it. I still to this day, I like that movie. I had a great time in the theater. And then my family, I remember like them yelling and getting into it, and it was just a good experience. I have a good memory, like, of seeing it with my entire family and just being really...
So my experience was pretty cool. I think you know about it. Some of you might know about it. But so when that movie was coming out, again, I had that fever pitch. But I wanted to do something special because this was a long time in the making, and me and my buddies were, we were fucking Freddy and Jason fans. This was it. This was the ultimate. This was the final level.
You ascended, yeah.
And so I wanted to get our group together, and it was Meredith, it was Casey, there was maybe 2 other people with us, but I had shirts made. That were Freddy versus Jason shirts and everything. But so I thought, I wonder if we could put together a midnight screening at Tinseltown for the movie the night before, and really do like a big deal with it. Midnight screening. We'll do a trivia contest. We'll give out prizes. All this stuff.
Yeah.
And so I called Tinseltown, told them my idea, and they said, well, we could do this, but you have to get New Line Cinema's
blessing, yeah.
Yes. So I was like, okay, how the fuck am I going to do that? How am I going to contact New Line Cinema? Well, luckily, there was a dude named Jeff Katz.
Oh, yeah.
Who was a fan. He's a couple years younger than me, but he's a fan who happened to get lucky and work at New Line Cinema and work on Freddy vs. Jason. But he was a online presence at that point who was sort of promoting and pimping that release.
Yeah.
And I don't know how I got it, but I got an email for Jeff Katz at the time. And I was like, well, if anyone is going to, talk to me legitimately from a studio, then it's going to be this dude.
Yeah.
He's a around my age. He's a Uber fan. He'll probably actually talk to somebody.
You don't think Bob Shea would have called you back?
I don't think if I called the New Line offices, I don't think I would have gotten them to even talk.
Yeah, this is Bobby.
So I sent an email to Jeff Katz, and I would say maybe 2 weeks go by, and I get an email from Jeff, and he says, "This sounds like a great idea. How much can you hype this up?" Mm-hmm. So I wrote back, and I'm like, "Well, we can get the radio involved. We can try to really make it so that it's a packed night, a packed showing of this." And we had a cake made. We were told them we would do this, so we did. We had a giant, the biggest that our Kinkos or whatever could print out, poster that we displayed at a radio station and at the theater itself, saying we're going to do this. So we had that made. He said, if you can guarantee that
you sell it out,
you're going to get a huge showing for this.
Yeah.
You guys can do this showing. You can totally do it. So I was like, okay. So we did the radio thing. We got that hooked up, and me and Meredith, we went to talk about it on the radio and everything, and we put the posters up in the theater. And so I would call the theater and I'd ask, like, what's the
sales
buzz like?
Yeah,
what's happening? He's like, looks like you're gonna have a pretty good show. So I wrote him back and I was like, well, Tinseltown says it looks like we're gonna have a really great show. He goes, okay, well, what else do you need from us? I go, well, do you think you could, like, I don't know, maybe send like a poster or two or something to give away for like Freddy and Jason trivia?
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, and he goes, I got you covered. And then like 2 weeks later, I'm coming home. I had an apartment downtown, so the hallway was really small. But so I'm coming home up the hallway, and out front of my door, basically blocking the door, was a giant box. And I was like, what is this?
Yeah.
So, Lauren is like, what did you order? Or, I didn't order anything. Did you order anything? Whatever. So I looked down from the, what it says on there, and it had a big, like, New Line Cinema thing. I was like, no way. So we get the door open, we pull this thing in, we open up, and it's got like 150 theatrical one-sheets. It's got like 15 of the soundtracks. It's got 20 of the novels. It's got like 25 Crystal Lake shirts.
That's awesome. You still have any of that?
No, that poster
Was
that I have,
yeah.
it's from that.
That's
awesome.
awesome.
My poster that I've had.
Yeah.
They sent us the movie magazine, the making of movie magazine, like all this stuff, koozies.
That's awesome.
All just to give away. And I was like, this is amazing, like, holy shit. So we took all the stuff that we wanted from it. Meredith did, Casey did, we just took everything that we wanted out of it. But we had all this stuff to give away, plus the cake that we cut and gave to as many audience members as we could or whatever. So what happened was the big blackout. There was a giant nationwide blackout that happened on the opening of Freddy vs. Jason for that night, for the midnight show.
Uh-huh.
And motherfucker, like, Tinseltown blacked out. And we had to fucking cancel for that midnight show. But what we did was, we said, well, can we do it for the first showing the next day?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And they were like, well, absolutely. So, but we were so pissed off that we were calling every theater around, any theater we could, to see if
they didn't black out,
to see if the power went out, whatever. And there was one tiny theater in Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
And we're like begging this person, will you please show a midnight showing of Freddy? Because they weren't going to do a midnight showing, but they were open.
Yeah.
But they weren't going to do a midnight show.
Mm-hmm.
We're like, listen, we have these posters, we have all this stuff. If you just stay open for midnight, will you do this? And all he did was he let the people that we were with, that's it. It was us in the theater at midnight.
Just so you could go watch.
So we could go watch Freddy vs. Jason.
Yeah.
Just our group. And that was it. That was us and him in the theater.
It was awesome.
It was so cool.
Yeah.
But the next day, fucking place was sold out.
Nice.
Place was sold out.
And you gave away the posters.
We did the posters.
And cake.
We did the trivia. We did the cake. They gave us a mic and we were talking to everybody. The crowd went balls deep. I mean, they were just like,
it's awesome.
Yeah, they loved the movie. We loved it. Again, watching it with a sold out crowd. So that was amazing. It's another one of those, like, I'll never forget it. So cool.
Yeah.
That's an awesome and all because I love those movies, and I just really wanted to see this damn movie. I wanted something extra special to happen. So, and we took pictures and everything, and we sent them to Jeff Katz and everything. He's like, I'm so happy that you guys had a great time, and then that movie killed. It was like $36 million at the box office that opening weekend, even with the blackouts, and that was the biggest. Like, that was huge.
Yeah.
Everyone was just like, holy shit, $36 million opening weekend.
And then we got a lot of Friday the 13th movies after that.
Yeah, totally.
And Nightmare on Elm Street.
We got like, whew,
so many.
The floodgates open.
Part 13, which you do have, is an amazing movie directed by a man who has ascended to the final level.
Oh, I know. Todd Jason Cook?
Yeah.
Todd Jason
Falcon Cook.
Yeah, I know.
Part 13.
But anyway, that's not true. We got one Friday the 13th movie after Freddy vs. Jason, which was the quote-unquote reboot. And we got a miserably terrible remake of Nightmare on Elm Street after that, which is just deplorable. Some cool concepts. But overall,
I didn't hate the remake of Friday.
It.
No, Friday.
Friday. Actually, it took me 3 times seeing it in the theater to be okay with it.
Yeah, that's just it. I'm just okay with it.
Because for me, again, it was like, wow, this was 2009. This was a new Friday the 13th movie.
Yeah.
They said that they were going to take it back to basics, that it was an amalgamation of like 2, 3, and 4 put together. And it's funny, like, again, an outsider would think, what do you mean? It's a Friday the 13th film. He does exactly what he always does. He kills teenagers, and that's it.
Yeah.
But for me, at that first time, I don't know, man. Like, it just didn't feel right. The one thing that I absolutely adored about the 2009 Friday the 13th was Derek Mears.
Yeah.
I thought he was a fantastic Jason. I also loved the kills, and I loved the first 20 minutes of that movie.
Yeah.
The first 20 minutes of that movie is what the fucking movie should have been in the first place. Holy shit. To have that whole pre-credit sequence happen, and then Friday the 13th come out, I was like, I think it gave everybody, like, hope,
Definitely.
And then the rest of the movie happened. And while there's things that I liked back then, because, whatever. Overall, I just didn't like the fact that they tried to explain Jason better in a way.
Yeah, we don't need that.
Giving him the tunnels, explaining why he pops up the way that he does, because he's, like, running underground and popping up, and I don't know. I think it's cool if there wasn't any Friday the 13th prior to that.
Yeah, then it would be interesting.
I think it's like, holy shit, this guy's like fucking Rambo, but he's Jason, he's like this killer, but he's tactically all there. He's got a tactical mind, traps, all that shit.
Yeah.
Then he's essentially John Rambo, pretty much, but he's just killing
Jason
fools.
Rambo.
Yeah. But knowing Friday the 13th and having, I guess, an expectation, it just didn't meet that expectation for me. And then to hear sort of like what they really wanted, what they originally were going to do, where they said, oh, we were going to go back to the 80s and we were going to do blah, blah, an 80s Friday the 13th. I was like,
well, that was the one, too, that was very close to being made, like, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
It was, like, a week away from production. I read the script.
Yeah, they pulled it. But from what
actually,
you read,
the script was terrible, so I'm glad they didn't make it. Yeah. Because it wasn't Jason, it was Jason, but he wears, like, this old-school vintage hockey mask. It was bogus. It would have sucked. So I'm glad they didn't make it. And in fact, I read the scripts for, like, there was, like, 10 scripts that were written for Freddy vs. Jason.
Oh, yeah.
I read, 3 or 4 of those. I did go through
a lot of those. Even back then when
and those are pretty much all terrible, too. Yeah. One plays out like a courtroom drama where they actually have Jason in court and they're trying to try him for his crimes. And I think Jason talks. And in one, and that may even be in the same one, where he befriends the lead girl. And so it's the lead girl and Jason trying to defeat Freddy, so Jason is kind of like a good guy. And I was like, what? Why did it take them so many drafts to just get them to... and even in Freddy vs. Jason, they don't fight until the very end,
Yeah, the thing I don't like about Freddy vs. Jason is the people. I think the characters are abysmal. I think the writing is abysmal. I think it's really bad. I do. Even then, I was like, one by one, I was like, these characters got to go.
There's the famous line that we always bring up.
We make fun of it.
Yeah, we make fun of it. Jason was killed by water, Freddy by fire. How can we use that? Just out of she just is like looking off into the distance and she says that line. Like, oof, yeah, what? It's such a terrible line.
I mean, all of that is just weird in that movie, where Jason is afraid of water.
Yeah.
Like, Jason is constantly killing fools in water.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about? Then suddenly he's like, he's like shaking in one scene. He's like looking at the water. Shit, like, what?
And what I don't like is that there's not a good enough mixture for me. Freddy is...
Well, he's in the background.
He kills one person, I think, the whole movie.
Yeah, he uses Jason for everything else.
Yeah. So I just wanted a better mixture. I mean, I still like the movie, but I just wanted that... It's weird that they couldn't get them to, like, fight. Yeah, like, they couldn't get a good story of them going back and forth. You know, they don't have to have a big fight until the very end. But I did like what
they did, though.
Yeah, the fight at the end is awesome.
Well, remember, they do a little bit before that, though, too. When... Jason goes into Freddy's world.
Oh, yeah.
You know? There's that little bit before the main bit.
Yeah.
You know, and that's fun. To see Freddy using his fucking
and he's
dream magic and shit. And
moving stuff. And
he's a pinball machine.
Yeah.
All that stuff. That's cool, you know?
Yeah, but when they get into the real world, like that ending, 20 minutes, you know,
it's fun.
It's awesome.
It's, crazy. It's Monty Python... buffoonery.
Yeah. It's just slashing and stabbing.
Well, and I love, always, and then I can clearly remember it in the theater when Freddy realizes that he's in the real world.
Yeah,
and he's got that,
yeah.
Oh shit face.
Yeah.
Everyone in the audience was like, oh shit! You know, people yeah, you know.
Yeah.
He's he knows, he's fuck that.
Yeah.
He's got to go up against this guy. That stuff was funny. Jason picks him up and rails him through the side of the cabin.
Yeah,
that shit's great. All that stuff. What else did you want? You know what I mean? I know of people who complain about that fight, but I'm like, what did you want?
Yeah, no,
it's two people just going fucking nuts on each other.
Right. What you want is that beginning hour to be different. You know, but the ending was great. Yeah. You know, you just wanted it to go about in a different way. As a fan of, Freddy, I wanted to see more.
Absolutely.
I wanted to see more.
And I didn't quite like the Ken Kirzinger portrayal of Jason.
I thought he was cool.
I
liked the all black, his skin was kind of all black.
I didn't.
You didn't like that?
I didn't like that.
Oh man, I liked that.
I liked the mask. I hated his outfit. I just didn't get that whole thing. I just wish he was more... Jason in this one was like Frankenstein.
See, I kind of
his mobility wasn't as...
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He was more of a lunk. He was a giant lunk. But anyway, it was cool. I loved the imagery. I was a fan of Ronnie Yu because I was a big Hong Kong wire fu guy as well. So I did see The Bride with White Hair and all that stuff. And I was a giant fan of Bride of Chucky. At that point, Bride of Chucky was my favorite Chucky movie. I was just this fucking movie is dope.
I love the cornfield party scene.
When Ronnie Yu was going to make this movie, I was like, oh, the imagery is going to be crazy good. So I love the weird, the odd dreamlike shots of the cabin on the lake.
Yeah.
The lightning, going into Jason's mind and seeing all the dead people in the closet and everything. And I liked that shit. That was cool. Delving a little bit more into that. I also, of course, like the whole going back to Crystal Lake and seeing Jason getting picked on and drowning, and then Freddy comes up and is drowning. Shit. I like that. That was cool. That's a fun movie. But 2009, you know what I'm saying? 2009. So that was it, man. That was it. That was the last Friday the 13th movie. Friday the 13th movie. What are we at? 10 years? 10 years. There's something wrong about that.
Did you see do you watch any of the fan film stuff?
I was actually going to talk to you about that. What are your thoughts on the fan film thing? Because I have my own sort of...
I watched Never Hike Alone.
Uh-huh.
I thought it was fine. I mean, to me, it's just like not. It's still not it. You know.
That's what I was telling Bobby, because Bobby and I were talking about it, and he like watches all those fan films, and he's about to make a Friday the 13th.
Yeah, I saw that.
But for me, fan films just don't do it for me. I can't get into them.
Yeah.
No matter how well they're made, that even bothers me even more, because I'm like, why aren't you just making something original?
Yeah, yeah.
That, you know, I get it. You love this, but so what? Take these skills and do something that came out of here. You know, like, go do that. So when I watch those things, I'm like, oh, well, the acting is terrible. You know, it doesn't matter how good everyone thinks those actors are in those fan films. They're usually not. They really aren't. The writing isn't that good. It's not polished. You know what I mean? The effects are usually pretty good, you know, because they take a little time to do the gore and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But overall, it's like, well, this is so far and away disconnected from Friday the 13th or any of the films that they're fanning, that it just, I can't do it. I can't.
Yeah, I didn't watch the new one. I know there was a new one that came out that has like Jason's dad, Elias, in it. That came out. I didn't watch that one yet.
There was a snippet that I did watch, and I was just like, the acting, I was like, oh no. You know, like, see, I can't do it, because I know it's just a bunch of dudes just out there with a camera making a Friday the 13th movie.
Yeah, well, Never Hike Alone was the one that was like, everyone is like, this one is the best. So I watched it. I mean, it's fine, but it's just not, you know.
Yeah, it's, I don't know.
It's like, I want a Coke, and then I got like a, you know, Wegmans brand cola that I'm drinking. It's like, I wanted a Coke, but I don't want this Wegmans
What's
brand.
this passion flaky or a puff pastry?
Yeah, exactly.
Man, get that shit out of here. I want that passion flaky.
Always.
You know? I totally get it. And this is coming from somebody who made a bunch of Friday the 13th fan films.
Yeah.
But I ain't out there showing my Friday the 13th fan films.
And what I hate about Friday the 13th fan films is for some reason they always get money. Like, people always give them money on Kickstarter.
Well, I think it's because they want to see a Friday the 13th movie.
I know.
You know?
It's like, it's crazy. I don't know.
I know. Well,
we hope our friend Bobby Heckman gets all the money.
I think he'll do good. I think he'll do good.
Yeah.
Bobby has an up.
Yeah, he does.
Bobby has an up.
He's in.
He's got some very important people that could be very integral to this fan film.
Friday the 13th Part Stoink is going to be fantastic.
So Bobby is I think he's gonna. He told me his story too.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Did you like it?
I do, especially with
the
people he's got involved. So I'm like, oh, this could be an actual real treat for the fans.
Bobby Heckman, if you need a good DP to shoot it.
Sean King's shooting it.
Oh, well. Well, then you will get a good DP to shoot it.
That's right.
There you go. Sean King, if you need help. Your good friend.
Yeah. I'm telling you, I need a role in it, man. You know, I gotta get killed in it.
Yeah.
Gotta get killed in it.
But you do get killed in the Friday the 13th...
yes, you're right. So
universe, if
another
you will.
reason I love Friday the 13th so much is because I am officially a part of the Friday the 13th universe.
Yes.
A friend of mine who is a screenwriter, he wrote one of my favorite action films of all time called Drive. He wrote... Not
to be mistaken, not the...
no, this is the
Nicholas Winding Refn Drive.
This is the Mark Dacascos, Kadeem Hardison, Steve Wang Drive, which is mind-blowingly awesome.
Great movie.
But he is also a fan of my films, and we became buddies, and we wrote a movie together called Scream, Science Bastard Scream. But anyway... So Scott Phillips is a filmmaker, screenwriter, author, and he was lucky enough to write one of the New Line novels for Friday the 13th. And that is right here. Church of the Divine Psychopath. My friends, if you're a fan of low-budget pictures, if you're a fan of Chris Seaver films, you will find several people from the LBP world within this novel. Chris Seaver is in it. Meredith Host is in it. Even, dare I say, Budnick is in this.
Yeah.
And there's a couple more, but I have the distinction of having sex and getting killed by Jason during my sexual intercourse. And not only do I get killed as Chris Seaver, which they mention several times, full name Chris Seaver. Yeah. But he throws in some of my dialogue, the way that I write my films, for the way that awesome. I talk in the book.
Yeah.
And Meredith makes it almost through the whole thing.
Yeah.
She's like almost the final girl, pretty much. But you can't get this.
It's like $900.
People are charging so much money to get a hold of this novel.
Any of the Black Candle, what was it, Black Flame or
Black Flame?
Yeah, Black Flame.
New Line Cinema, House of Horrors.
Yeah, like you can find the Jason X books from Black Flame for like maybe $30, $40, but any of like this line, $900. I remember one time I saw for this book.
Yeah. So this is dope. I was so thrilled. It was an honor. It was amazing. And, yeah.
Do you like any of the Eric... Oh, you do, right? You have some of the Eric Morse ones?
When they
those
originally
books.
Came out, I bought them.
Yeah.
And I would base some of my fan films off of those books.
Yeah, they made a fan film of
I did...
Mother's Day.
I did Mother's Day.
Yeah.
My version of Mother's Day. It was never finished. But I do have that footage.
Maybe you won't see it.
You won't see it, but Clint will probably see it. But yeah, Friday the 13th, man. What is it, Clint? Why do you think we love it so much?
It's just, it's got a power.
Can you put your finger on it? Because I don't know if I can.
I think it just hits... For me, it just hits all the right notes of what I love about movies. You know, those, especially like I said, 3 through 6, and I'll even throw 7. 3 through 7 are just like everything. It's got everything that I love about movies and that I love about horror movies. And it's got these great kills, the great gore, the great laughs, the great characters, and it's all set in the wonderful 80s, and everyone looks so great, and I just wish I lived in that time, and I just wish I lived in that movie. But not being killed and slaughtered. But that's what it is. It's just, I don't know. It's just that's it. I just can go back to them. The rewatch value is immense.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's...
Yeah. I liken them to like a like a warm blanket. Or like
exactly.
A childhood nostalgia thing.
It's hot cocoa, but in movie form.
It's just a feel-good...
Yeah.
movie series to go back to if you're a horror fan. If you like slaughter and... stupidity and a brutal killer, you know.
And they're never like, especially those the main bunch. They're never boring. The pacing is so good.
Yeah. To keep out one.
No, I said the main core 3 through let's say 3 through 7. The pacing is.
Well, you got to, man. You got that every 10 minutes. You got to. Kill.
But there's plenty of slashers that are just straight from the 80s that didn't understand it.
Yeah.
And they're just boring.
Yeah.
And the kills aren't, the kills aren't spaced out. I love Mad Men.
Yeah, Mad Men's terrible.
I love Mad Men.
Yeah, but I hear you, man. I hear you. Yeah. That's, I think, I don't know, because so many people have asked me over the years, like, why do you love Friday the 13th so much? And I don't know, man. It's hard to pinpoint, because, yeah, you can come at it as like, well, it's essentially the same thing.
Yeah.
You know? I think while maybe it is the same thing, I think each one tried to bring something a little, different to it from the director's perspective.
Yeah, each director...
They just tried to add a little bit, something different to them. Yeah, man. I don't know. But I gotta say this, like, for me, personally, and we've talked about this before, now in the modern times, if you're going to give me a Friday the 13th movie, please, please, please stop trying to reinvent the wheel. There's zero reason to do this. just go and make a Friday the 13th movie. Like, yes. It truly, it boggles my mind that so many people try to reinvent it or do something different with it. Why? It doesn't, like, what you love is Jason, Crystal Lake, counselors, death.
Yeah. And you can make it different by just having the story, the story the same, but hire a director that is known for a specific style.
Yeah, give it a style.
And he can just bring his style to the movie.
Have the characters be likable.
Yeah,
so you give a shit when they get off.
Yeah.
Or, also cheering when they get off, because that's what you want to see. You want to see Jason going nuts out.
What I hate, and I think what we both hate about modern slashers, is that every character is despicable in like modern slasher movies. There's not one character that you like, and you're like, why do I care about any of these turds?
I think that's because they think that's how it was.
Yeah, that wasn't how...
But it wasn't.
You have one character that you don't really like throughout the whole movie.
I don't know, man. I feel like now, because of this stupid legal battle that's happening, and we're not getting Friday the 13th because two sides are fighting for it, which is ludicrous. You gotta give us that 13th Friday the 13th movie that's just straight up Friday the 13th. And you know what? Don't be afraid. Everybody fucking loves the 80s. Put it back in the 80s, god damn it. Do it.
During the winter time.
Whatever. Give us something. Just give us Jason the way we want Jason, killing fools left and right at Camp Crystal Lake. Come on now.
We want it.
It's not that hard. I'm gonna say this. I wouldn't be surprised if all this fucking legal mess is cleared up soon, and because it's the 40th anniversary next year,
we're going to get one fast-tracked.
We are going to get a Friday the 13th movie. Maybe not in theaters, but being shot for the 40th anniversary of Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
It's the 40th fucking anniversary of Friday the 13th. They have to do something. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised. I think that's happening. I think it is. Maybe not getting it,
but shooting at least.
Yes, I think it's going to be put on the fast track. It's back at New Line. They see what Halloween is doing now.
Oh yeah.
It's fucking killing. All right.
Even though the new Halloween movie is.
I really dug it.
Oh, you liked it?
Oh, 2018. What didn't you like about it?
Oof. Way too much to go
really
here. Yeah.
Oh my god.
I hated it.
I loved it until the end. I was not a fan of the end.
Yeah.
But I loved it. That's ridiculous. That's Halloween, man. Like, that is straight
I think they should have just ended it with H2O.
Well, I don't like H2O.
I rewatched H2O immediately after watching that one. I was like, I like this movie better.
Ooh. No.
They should have just ended it there.
Disagree, man. Agree to disagree. They really should have ended it at, like, 5.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Honestly, 6 is terrible.
I like the producer's cut where it gets weird and it's got all like the cult stuff.
Introducing all that stupid shit. That shit's dumb. Michael doesn't need any of that.
That's
Michael's
true.
just a fucking weirdo killer.
Yeah.
Just like Jason. He's a mongoloid killer.
Michael
leave
versus
it.
Jason.
Leave it. That'd be a real boring.
I'm pretty sure Michael would be killed in like...
Oh my god.
Yeah, he would just get his head chopped off. That would be it.
Anyway... Right?
Right.
You have that, right? That anger, that, like, why?
Yeah.
I mean, it's ridiculous.
I'd be perfectly okay, really, if they just cranked them out, like, every year, and we could just go, like, Saw. Like they did back in the day.
Well, I think people forgot that.
You know, every year, I
think people forgot that back in the 80s, we got fucking sequels every fucking year.
Yeah.
If it wasn't every year, then it was every 2 years. It was constant.
Just keep making them.
And then you act like now in modern times that it's just too hard to do something like that. It's just too much. And then Saw did it, and I was like, okay, Saw's doing it. Do it with fucking Friday the 13th. Do it with our slashers that we love. Because let's face it, folks, you want it. You keep whining about it. You cry about it. Everybody wants a new killer. Give us a new killer. You can't. You're not gonna get it. all these new killers that you guys supposedly want. One, you don't go to see. Two, they aren't that awesome in the first place, so they're not garnering status, icon status. You know what I mean? So, you know who we have? We have fucking Freddy, we have Jason, we have Michael Myers, we have Leatherface. We have the characters that we grew up with, just like the Universal monsters in the different, you know, like, you're not going to get... People will say, like, oh, well, Ghostface was one of those. I guess you can say that for you kids. But for me, I do not like those Scream movies, and Ghostface was not a... I didn't give a shit. I would not be scared about a ghost face. No way.
I like the Scream movie.
Well, lots of people do. I just don't. I never have. And to me, he's not an icon. No way.
They need to make a Valentine, too.
But that's just me. You know what I'm saying? But really think about it. You know, modern days, they have not been able to do it.
Well, I think one of the reasons is they keep having the budgets higher than what they need to, too, for these movies. You can make
they shot those movies for $1 million back in the day.
$5 to $8 million you could crank out 3 movies, you know, in a year. Not in a year, 3 movies.
Why aren't we running some sort of studio, man? You know? Do you know how many movies we could crank out with $1 million?
Yeah. Huh.
Woo!
Literally 1 million movies.
Oh my God, man. Well, on a sad note, we're going to leave you. Do you have anything else to say, my friend, about Friday the 13th?
No.
No? You think we talked about it?
Covered it. The games. I like the new game.
Yeah, the game was dope.
Yeah.
That game was dope.
The NES game is terrible.
Yes, it is.
But it gave us the purple Jason.
I mean, the Friday merchandise is all over the place. Yeah. You know, Friday the 13th is still a viable entity. Give us another goddamn movie. Stop your jibber-jabbering. Stop your whimpering. Stop your whining. Victor Miller, you idiot.
As far as a few months ago, you could still go into a Target and buy Friday the 13th's toys. So it's like...
Well, I mean, I was buying Friday the 13th. I mean, Bobby just bought me socks. Friday the 13th socks. So stuff is still out there. And now there's something weird going on with Freddy. The licensing, something weird with Freddy.
Oh, it's going... I think it went back to...
Well, the Wes Craven thing.
Estate.
Yeah, and they pulled the Freddy stuff. NECA stopped doing Freddy toys.
That's terrible.
Yeah, it's like, what does that mean? So now it's with the Craven estate. Well, what does that mean?
Well, I know they said something that Robert Englund said that he would... He said he could do one more. He said
absolutely.
To do one more.
But what does this mean now with the Craven estate having Freddy? Like, what the fuck does that mean?
I don't know.
It was with New Line, so what does that mean?
They said, I think it was just was it the whole series, or was it just the first
Freddy
one?
Name? Or Nightmare on Elm Street 1? I don't know.
I think it was just Nightmare on Elm Street 1.
Maybe
just the name Nightmare on Elm Street. I don't know.
I mean, that's the only way I would see another Nightmare on Elm Street. Is if it's Robert Englund one last time giving us one more.
Yeah.
Proper. Because I as much as I like Freddy vs. Jason, I feel like that wasn't enough.
It wasn't a good send-off.
That wasn't enough for
The
me.
wink at the end wasn't a good send-off.
I liked that, but I wanted more Freddy.
You don't want Kevin Bacon as Freddy?
And I think Robert's got one more in him. One more in
I
him.
agree, and he said he does have one more in him. So
I think he does. I think because of all those times he's shown up with the makeup recently, and then the Goldbergs
thing,
and people showed like their love. I think it's like, wow, maybe I could do this one more time. I think he's got it. Got it in him. But anyway,
who would be a good director for that? Who could bring him back? Guillermo. Wouldn't that be a cool movie? Well,
he's an amazing... I mean, the Dreamscapes would be out of this world.
That would be a cool movie.
Yeah, I don't know.
I still want to read Peter Jackson's. Oh, that's...
Freddy's Dead?
Yeah.
The 6th Freddy movie? Yeah, that would be cool. Wonder what that's like. I think Jean Gary Diablo would be good.
Juan Architect.
Juan Architect's good.
Yeah, Toblerone.
Rudy Belafonte.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any of those.
Dylan Dafoe.
Rihanna Keeves.
Yeah. All good directors. Very solid at their craft.
Very good. And definitely get Keen Dundee.
To shoot it.
Shoot it.
Definitely.
You got to get that Keen Dundee.
Or Michael J. Shakes.
Michael J. Shakes. But imagine Juan Architect and Keen Dundee together again, making a horror movie.
Yeah. Come on.
Making a Freddy Got Fingered sequel. All right, so that was it, guys. That was us talking about our love of Friday the 13th. Oh, ooh, do you hear the crickets? Do you hear the frogs mating? We must be near a lake. Oh, do you hear that? Jimmy, Van Brandt. Oh no! Hey, look! Something is coming out of that closet over there, and he's holding a machete. Oh!
You killed my man! He's killing me! He's killing me!